Give you a minute to wake up, get connected, settle in. Oh, and we have our first comment. Hello, Aaron Burden, with the first comment. Reading, making me some burgers for lunch with iced tea. Audio okay? Oh, okay. It's like, is that like only okay? Or what do I need to do? Come gather in. You're technically early, gang. I started 2 minutes early. What up? Crazy stream. But one thing that you're not gonna get from me, no matter how early, on time, or late I am to my own stream, I'm not gonna hit you with that starting soon stream or the starting soon screen. I commissioned one. I had one made. It's animated. It's beautiful. I just hate starting soon screens. Why? Just don't start if you're not ready. I don't. I just make you wait and stare at my thumbnail because it's the same thing. We don't need to dress it up, okay? I'm not even going to do a countdown, nothing. In these streams, no matter when they start, you are just instantly thrust into unhinged chaos. No countdown, no warning, nothing. It's just you're in it, okay? And so welcome. Welcome to another Dadvocate stream of unhinged chaos and reactions to unhinged chaos. We talk a lot about things like relationships, parenting, dating, marriage, co-parenting, divorce, breakups, and sometimes completely unrelated things. But I'm Lauren, also known as the Dadvocate, and I will be your host for this. And some things you should know, and as I always go through, this is a pretty audio-only friendly show. You can feel free to just turn off the visual, not rely heavily on staring at your screen, and just kind of get your choring done, take your dog out, you know. And speaking of, we have some instant pet tags. Let me just take you on a little journey over my shoulder here. We got my baby. He's all cuddled up there. Yeah, so you know it's going to be a good stream when we just instantly have a Miles, okay? Just instant win. And I'm so sorry, I just said it was not going to be visually heavy, and then I made it 100% reliant on you looking at my dog. So yeah. Whenever there's pet tax, fair warning, if I say the words pet tax, you should look at the screen. But otherwise, I'll visually describe what's going on for you. Now, for today's theme of the stream, we don't exactly have one. I'm going to start you off strong with what I made the thumbnail and the title, where we have a partner shaming extreme. But that's not going to take up the whole stream. We're going to get into some kind of miscellaneous stories, and I'm going to test out this new thing. This is visual, but it doesn't really matter. You don't actually have to look. But whenever I'm getting into something new, I'm going to do this. And that way, it'll be easier for anyone who is visually trying to cut into the next segment of the stream later on. Just look for the big yellow screen that says timestamp, and then you know that there's a new topic, and hopefully that might make it a little bit easier. But I also just did this, so you guys are gonna have to help me remember, okay? This is a cooperative stream here. I try to stay on schedule. You guys keep me there, okay? It's we all work together here. All right. So, if you guys are not familiar with the concept of partner shaming, I say we just get right into the big story of today. I'm very known for my coverage of partner shaming, and what a partner shamer is a person who records their partner doing something embarrassing, cringe, toxic, negligent, and then posts it on the internet for all of us to roast and drag them as far as we can against shards of social glass in order for them, the poster, to receive validation, clout, praise, money, or all of the above, and then they just expect to have a perfectly normal and happy relationship after the fact. But what I like to cover is that, you know, there tend to be consequences, especially when we do examine these things under such a scrutinous social media eye, especially when you know, get into the comments. I'll just put it lightly. And you see what these people have to say. It's rough. Now, and I promise I will get to that super chat. What makes this video so different is that I will admit there have been many partner shaming episodes where I've actually kind of sided with the partner shamer. I'm like, oh God, what you did is so aggravating that I'm almost for this. But then I have to slow down, breathe, and remember who I am, okay? We got to stay intellectually consistent about these things, okay? Are we going to make exceptions? Aren't we? This video will truly test us. Before we get into it, let me read this super chat from Dylan Montgomery. Thank you so much for the 5. By the way, all donations, super chats, cheers, all of that is going to go toward me doing a single dad support effort. I've posted about it on Instagram. I haven't like spread it to every one of my social medias because I don't want to get too overwhelmed with requests. But basically, I am buying gifts for single dads in need. I'm not excluding single moms. Single moms have reached out. You're not excluded. You can reach out as well. But there's just not a lot of efforts to help single dads who are struggling get presents for their kids specifically. So I just wanted to highlight that. Like I said, you can check out more on my Instagram about it. But whatever is donated today, I'm going to immediately be buying some kids some toys with it. So just so you know, it will go toward a good cause. Now, finally, to read the super chat comment. Dylan says, Jimmy, take out the dog. Yes, mother. Shots fired. For a walk, Jimmy. That can't be considered a dad joke. That's did you know there's an entire website called Does the Dog Die that's dedicated to like people who just cannot watch movies if the dog dies, and they'll go out of their way to avoid that? Now you know, although that couldn't have warned you against that joke being in stream. So, sorry about that. All right. Without further ado, let us get into the main video of the day. And for audio only people, this is the last time you'll have to really look at the screen for the rest of the stream. I think, I'm pretty sure. But if you're audio only, I do implore you to please look at the screen now. What you will be seeing here, you cannot unsee. For those who refuse to look, though. We have a couple pushing a stroller. The woman of the couple here, the female identifying person, female presenting individual, the mother here, is pushing a stroller. And beside her is apparently the father of the baby in the stroller. And he is wearing a gigantic sign around his neck. They're walking into a mall. And the front of the sign appears to say, I had an affair for 2 years.
Feel free. He's a cheater. Cheater. Cheater.
The back of the sign says, I had a 2-year affair. Ask me how. And then hashtag. Oh, there's a hashtag. I don't have the eyesight. Can anybody like make out what this hashtag is? Maybe if I even make it bigger on my end. The spurned. Okay, the spurned something. She is spurned, all right. She is spurnicus. She mad. She big mad. She's putting him on display, but I mean, she doesn't have like a pew pew to his head or anything. He seems to be consenting to this. Some of you are going to argue with me and say, Lauren, women hold soft power. You don't know like what he could have been threatened with to do this. And very true. But again, from the looks of it, he appears to not be like fleeing the scene or anything. I'm trying to see exactly. Ask me to tell you all the deets.
Cheater!
Oh, this is very Game of Thrones. And then he appears to like say something like kind of sheepishly or quietly. I don't know if he's like asking for directions or like clarification on what the task is at hand.
Cheater! Look at the cheater. Turn around for your fans. He had a 2-year affair while I had his second baby. We intentionally had a second baby and he was having an affair the whole time.
I feel like this is a good place to pause to kind of soak in all of the body language here before we kind of start to break this down a little bit. Okay, so here is what we're learning. He had an affair for 2 years, apparently. He does not seem to be denying this. In fact, we seem to now be welcome to hearing the details, which you don't even have to ask, actually. That's the whole ask me, not even necessary. She will tell you. It's much like being a vegan. You don't have to ask. You can just go to the mall and you're gonna find out what's going on here. So this little youngster here, this little pickle, was a planned baby, she goes on to say. They planned to have this baby. And so I would agree, it's a bit outside of family planning recommendation to have a secret affair from that partner that you're making a baby with. It's usually pretty frowned upon, I gotta say. It's hashtag the spurned bitch. Okay, I see. Got it. I think the I in bitch might have an X through it. I'm curious to look up that hashtag after this. Not gonna lie. Okay. And so I would love to ask more details, actually. Whenever there's a situation like this, I always like to ask, like, how did you find out? You know? But again, there's not much denial happening here. There's not much of a reason to doubt the scenario. I would believe that he probably did do this. He probably did have a 2-year affair. And listen, I've said before on this channel, I don't think that it's impossible for a relationship to recover after there's been infidelity. I will say it's probably like a less than 7% chance of like real survival after that. And what I typically say is, in order for it to work, the betrayer needs to go like balls to the wall with effort to make it up to the betrayed partner. I'm talking locations on, open phone access, constant reassurance. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really have to be putting in that constant commitment, and it's going to take work on both sides, you know, just like it's going to take the daily work for the one who betrayed the significant other to kind of prove themselves, make it up to them, give that reassurance and do that extra work to repair. It's going to be constant work from the betrayed partner to every day choose forgiveness, right? That's typically the conversation I have with anybody on this topic. Do I think that publicly shaming them and having them do a Game of Thrones style, like as close to a public lashing in the streets as we possibly can over it, will in any way help the situation? Well, that's for us to mull over, isn't it, folks? And I want to hear from you in the comments right quick. How many of you think that this is a bit valid, actually? That there's some merit to this? You know, the shame, the humiliation, the embarrassment that she's got to feel having carried his child and put forth all of her loyalty and commitment and efforts to this man, only to find out that he's had, you know, an entire 4 seasons of a double life behind her back. You know, I think any one of us would want the other person to feel even like a quarter of what that pain that we're feeling, right? I think that most of us can probably empathize with like, oh my God, you were cheated on for 2 years. Of course you want to get them back, right? Good morning, Zachary Pearson. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's go into some kids' gifts for some single dads. Samantha says, I'm willing to give her some grace postpartum. There's a lot to be said about that. You know, the hormonal craziness that you're going through as a pregnant, especially postpartum mother, is up there with like going through your teen years. You're going to be feeling some shit, you know? There's a lot of high stress. Couple that with, you know, I think this might even fall under the category of reactive abuse, where it's a behavior that myself and others would typically categorize as borderline abusive. I myself have been saying public humiliation. That's no good, no bueno. But there are some elements here that do change this and make it more nuanced, which is why I wanted to bring it to the table today, right? First of all, we have, as Samantha mentioned, the postpartum effect. Do we have any lenience for that? Second, I promise I'll read that super chat, I promise. Second, we have the reactive abuse aspect. Does this fall under the categorization of reactive abuse, where while it's not a great behavior, it's the kind of behavior that would only be brought out when you have been pushed to your absolute limits, where someone has taken you so far out of your character, this is something you would never ordinarily do? Maybe. And finally, there's the third aspect, which is the seeming to be consent piece. Now, again, there's a lot to be said for, we have no idea what this man could have been threatened with behind the scenes. A lot of men speak about the concept of soft power, which is, you know, women may not be able to physically push a man around, but when wielding things like, you know, alimony, child support, you'll never see your kid again, a man is suddenly willing to do a lot more for her, maybe even more than he would do if she didn't use physical force. You know, we're talking things that can devastate an entire life that you don't necessarily have to be any taller than 5 feet to make happen. Okay? So there's a lot of nuance here. Before I get into that, actually, let me read this super chat. It's very generous. Thank you so much, What Drives You, for the very generous 20. Like I said, this is all going to buying single dads in need some gifts for their kids these holidays. Says, I've been busy. Finally getting you live. You were 200% right. Another affair, divorce started. Oh man, wait, was I right about a different situation or this one? Let me know if anybody sees What Drives You follow-up comments so I can be like, wait, what? I respond to a lot of emails, so for all I know, I might have unfortunately called an affair. It's one of those times where it's like, I like being right, but not always. Now, there's a couple other comments that I wanted to address regarding this. One is one that someone just posted. Someone mentioned bystanders filming it. I do wonder in this scenario, was this a bystander who just happened to walk in the mall at the exact same time that they walked in the mall and they were like, oh, I'm getting this. And she was like, perfect, you have your phone out. Let me tell you something about this scumbag. Or was this kind of like how the paparazzi just so happened to be outside of the court building that Amber Heard was at when she had a black eye? You know what I'm saying? Like, or was this paparazzi already there? Because let me tell you something about malls. Let me tell you something about malls that you definitely already know. The craziest shit happens at malls but very rarely is it ever recorded. There's so many trees falling silently in the woods of malls that like I can't even begin to describe to you how much missed buffoonery happens at malls. So like stuff like this you'll see every day at your local mall, but like you just gotta be ready with the quick draw to properly get it. Okay. So I have a lot of questions for you guys. I have so many things that I like want to ask you. First of all, do you think that this camera here was staged? Because I will say, when was this posted? November 22nd. It's been quite some days since then. And much to my dismay, I have not found a separate camera angle of this event. No witnesses who were there making TikToks of the event. Not even one of those fake witnesses like we saw with the brick lady, where all of a sudden everyone was there and had a side, but really none of them were there or even lived in the same city. Detroit malls are like Walmart. That honestly, yeah, same energy, quite frankly. And so, honestly, in an ideal situation, everyone was in on it. This was all just to get a little extra money to fund this baby's college fund. But if this was like completely staged, like if this man was completely in on it, give him an Emmy right now, because this is the most, yes, I cheated, but I have to do this to avoid my life fully falling apart face I've ever seen. Like, who could play that role better, honestly? Like, get Ben Affleck out of here. We have our new star divorcee, like miserable ass, barely getting through life dad in the house. Like, we don't need Ben Affleck anymore. We simply need the paparazzi outside of his house for all of his door dashes. For the content. Oh my god, barbecue for the win. Thank you for the super chat. I'm sorry I directly missed it while it showed up on screen. Says, the penny for the thought. Shout out, Jack. I love that you guys always use your super chats to shout out each other. I truly have the most wholesome community. Zartan suggests this was her friend recording this for more attention for her victim mentality. See, this is like the crazy thing too about this. Adding another scoop of nuance to this complicated partner shaming Sunday is, does this even help her? Does this even make her look any better? Because like I said, I think all of us have in our hearts that kind of like desire for vengeance when someone does something as awful as cheating for 2 years. Four full seasons, and then another 4 full seasons. 4 full springs, summers, falls, and winters. You've been doing this to someone. I think we all crave that vengeance. And yet, when we actually see it play out, there's a lot of us who are just like, you kind of look crazy. Like, now you all just look so much worse. But a lot of people will say, you know what, though? Like, she's already going down with the ship. Might as well go down burning. Might as well have a full Viking funeral. Which is where I'm kind of torn on the sides. Let me read these super chats. I know they went away kind of quick. Samantha, thank you so much for the 5. Says, oh my God, I know this mall. But do we? I feel like all malls look the same. I was like, oh yeah, that's my mall. And then I like took a couple more glances and I was like, is it though? Says, why am I not shocked this happened on Long Island at the Smith Haven Mall? Do we have any clues? Oh, it was posted by Long Island Wise Guy. So, you might actually have this one, Samantha. Oh man. So Long Island of you. Swamp Spirit, thank you for the 10. Thank you so much. Says, my ex cheated on me once toward the beginning of the relationship, back in high school, and again after 4 years. I was gonna say, damn, if it's like at the very beginning and you're in high school, I feel like that's, if we're looking at the scale of like most forgivable, we were in that scale. But then if it happened again, I'm pissed. I'm mad, dude. She broke it off because she admitted she cheated on me again. You know what, though? Like, she's kind of falling back into the forgiveness scale, though, because she recognized it, admitted it, and backed off. So this is one of those things of, like, I don't necessarily always believe once a cheater, always a cheater, because some people cheat and realize immediately it's not for them. Like, and they're like, oh, feels bad, man. This person, I think they realize, like, I have a lot of internal issues of attention seeking and validation that I don't seem to be able to attain and maintain in a healthy, normal, balanced way that doesn't cause harm to others. So best I stay out of a relationship. So I actually do appreciate that. Sucks that you were collateral damage in that, Swamp Spirit, but, like, for the best, honestly. Swamp Spirit, thank you for another 20. Oh my god, dude, this is gonna help out a lot, because I actually have, like, a laundry list of kids I still have to Santa for, which is, like, the best. Cannot believe that I used to be one of the kids the church donated gifts to, and, like, now I'm in the opportunity to buy the whole tree. Let's go. Like, will help out so much. Says, isn't wrong. I'm not upset that she did it, but upset she didn't communicate with me about it. Yeah, it's like, it's annoying that it had to happen for her to break up with you. Like, she couldn't have just broken up with you before cheating. I completely understand what you're saying. I'm still hurting, but I would never want to do this to someone, even if I did this. Yeah, I appreciate that, like, in the comments we have people who are like, yeah, I was literally just cheated on the same way, and this is extra. 'Cause if this is real, and when it comes to the internet, you always have to do a big if on every single thing you look at or read. But if this is real, even though, like, I don't really like judge parents for putting out their babies. I don't think that a baby is necessarily a breach in privacy, because call me whatever you want for this. I don't know if it's, like, any kind of biased or anything, but, like, all babies look the same. So, like, the skin color may slightly vary, but, like, you're gonna be hard pressed to find a baby that actually look like, I would never be able to pick this baby out of a crowd. Never. If you are ever asking me to identify this baby again, good luck. I hope that baby's life does not depend on me being able to pick this baby out of a lineup of any other white babies. It will never happen. So I think the baby's protection would be well protected if it weren't for the fact that, like, yours aren't. This is a very identifiable face. This is a very identifiable face. Like, you could say, like, there's probably a lot of other, like, goth mommy baddies that, like, fall under this lineup. Probably a lot of other, like, disheveled, unimpressed dads that fall under this lineup. But at the end of the day, like, someone has probably identified you two, and now this is only 4.1 million likes. You guys have to understand that, like, the likes, you probably only get like 10 to 15% likes to views. So we're at tens of dozens of millions of views on this. It's like being the Nirvana baby. Like, you're forever gonna be remembered as being that baby associated with this mom and dad at the Long Island Mall, man. Samantha says, get some kids some Christmas presents. Thank you. By the way, did you get my latest email with the Thanksgiving? Ooh, I got some tea to read after this. I will say, I've been a little bit executive dysfunctioning with the list of kids. I have to, like, spend specific time on each of the lists, and I have to, like, block it out. So yours might have been caught up in the emails I'm currently compartmentalizing. But that'll be a nice break in between. Goth Mommy Baddies, that's all I want for Christmas. I wish I could get that for you on Amazon, but we're not there yet. Almost, though. You know what? Let me use a TJ card before he goes to school. Hey, babe. Yeah? Can I use a TJ card? Let's show TJ the whole video. You know I'm, like, against partner shaming, obviously. But we want to know what you think about this one.
Here, feel free. He's a cheater. 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 Look at the cheater. Turn around for your fans. He had a 2-year affair while I had his second baby. We intentionally had a second baby, and he was having an affair the whole time. Here, feel free.
What about it?
I just feel like this is one of the most nuanced partner shaming I've ever seen. And it, you know how I say, like, sometimes I fall for it. Sometimes I'm like, man, yes, this is good. Good. Shame the partner. And then I have to remember, like, wait, no, this isn't the way. This isn't the way.
This is my thing, is it's like, obviously, like, that person, that camera's there for them. Like, they brought them there because they said, say hi to your fans. This is being recorded for, I'm assuming this is true. You know, that they're not just, like, doing this.
That's what we talked about, the big if.
You know,
the big if.
And my thing is, like, yeah, I think it's one of those things where I feel like you're burning the forest for the trees. And not, like, missing the forest for the trees. It's like they're burning the forest for the trees in the sense of, like, yeah, you sure got your partner good. You sure got him good by announcing to everyone how good he got you for 2 years. Like, it's kind of like
Streisand effect.
But I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, it's one of those things where this is something that the two of you should really be working out together, because the minute that you, like, publicly broadcast it like this, it's like you're airing the dirty laundry, and it's one of those things where now you've done the thing where you have released him to the court of public opinion, and now nobody fucking cares what you have to think, lady. Like, you can come out in 6 months and be like, oh man, he really stepped up, like he proved himself, like I was wrong.
There's no chance of a just kidding, we're fine video.
That's what I'm saying, is it's like you cannot do a just kidding, we're fine, because the internet is now going to be like, wow, you really ran back. You had a lot of confidence in that one mall video, but now how can we even take you seriously? I bet he's going to do it again. And it's like, yes, because you made such a huge public statement. It's like, I won't use that analogy. It's like, it's just making big promises, and it's like, you better follow through. Like, I hope you don't really show your faces in public anymore. I hope you're not, like, put off if suddenly, like, he's being treated shitty around town. If people's, guys, stop it. Like, he learned his lesson. Not to me, he didn't. I don't think he learned his lesson. You paraded him around town. You made him the town pariah. Like, now we're gonna treat him appropriately. Yeah. Like, dude, if this is big town America, you could probably, like, get away with it, honestly, and people will forget. If this is small town America,
Long Island, New York.
Oh, well, everybody in that neighborhood's gonna fucking know who he is now. It's like, oh yeah, look at the cheetah, look who the fucking cat dragged in. Hey, did you fuck anybody on your way here, Mac? You know, it's like, come on. Like, you threw this man into the lion's den. You threw him to the New Yorkers. And it's like,
and not just the New Yorkers, we're at tens of millions of views.
I'm saying, like,
possibly, like, across all social medias, maybe
physically.
Like 50 million.
She's thrown him physically, threw his name out there, threw his face out there. Like,
I don't think we have his name.
The people who live in this area are going to be like, isn't that Tommy? And they're going to be like, yeah, you know, Freddie's kid. And it's going to be like, oh no. And now everybody knows, because it's the thing. If you're in Long Island, and let's say you're even part of a community, like, I'm just assuming that even one of them is a little bit Italian. Or Jewish. Like, I'm just saying, if we're talking about one of the two big ethnic pockets that's going to be in Long Island, there's a good odds it's one of those two. And I'm going to tell you, from somebody who's been entrenched in those communities for a big part of their life, we fucking talk. And it's like, if somebody hears something about somebody, everyone in the whole community is going to know about it by the end of the next week, because people are calling and talking and texting, and it's out of your control. The minute that one of the middle-aged middle-aged women within that community recognizes them, it's done. You're over. Donezo. There's nothing you can do about it. So it's like, if she's all right with that kind of fallout, like throwing literally both of them to the wolves at this point, throwing both of them to the wolves, and if anyone recognizes them, the affair partner as well. All three of them are going to be... Like, this is like, everyone is, because like you said, millions of people, somebody knows them, somebody recognizes them, because if she posts this on her social media or his social media, then their friends who are in their sphere are going to see it, because I know all of my buddies are the ones that react to my videos or my reposts first. So it's like, I know that it's like they're going to be seeing this before anybody else.
Yeah, this was posted to like an account that literally... Oh, I was gonna say I thought they just made the account just to post it, but it's been like reposted all over everywhere. So yeah, this guy seems to post like stuff. Stuff from all over, just like New York in general.
Okay.
So it's actually a good odds that maybe it wasn't staged. We were kind of trying to like debate on that, if like the person who captured this was her friend or not. But it's all so interesting, because this is like what I keep talking about is, when it comes to partner shaming, it almost doesn't matter like what you did necessarily, because I think we can all agree that a 2-year affair is horrible.
Well, there's an app in there, isn't there?
Oh.
I wonder if they deleted their account.
There is an at. Yes. And let me read these super chats too before we go on a little search here. Ice for Eyes, thank you so much for the 5. Says, vengeance is digging a trap, hoping your target falls into it. You expand effort, risk bystanders, and you don't gain anything except brief satisfaction. I've heard of a better one. Not to like one-up you on your dono, but I like holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping your enemy dies. Kind of a similar thing. I've likened this to she's like, she figures if she's going down with the ship, she might as well turn it into a Viking funeral and watch it all burn. And I think some people are gonna agree with that and be like, yes, pop off, sis. And so I feel like there's gonna be so much nuance around the response here. Samantha also donated another 5. Thank you so much. I've still got some Long Island accent that lingers when I say
coffee, talk, and water.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you for that. Okay.
Thank you, Thomas Rooney. I appreciate that.
Oh, I think it's the film is This Is Who... That's who captured the video.
Okay.
But still...
I think they were there. I think they were ready. I think they knew, because she was like, say hello to your audience. It just feels a little too like, anyway.
I have a couple theories about like what the end goal was supposed to be, or like at least a couple of ideas, and I kind of want to like spitball them with you guys and see like are any of these legit. So let's say, what if they're like, I feel like this shaming a cheater is okay if you're dumping them.
Yeah.
Typically. Like, I'm typically not against ex-shaming, because one of my main issues with partner shaming is, like, that's literally, you're still your partner. That's still an extension of yourself. That's still, you're sharing a reputation, whether you like it or not. You are, if that is your active partner, you are sharing that reputation, and part of that is, like, you kind of have to protect that in a way, If they were breaking up, almost valid, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel about co-parent shaming necessarily.
I don't feel good about co-parent shaming, because
when you're showing their face,
it's like you're taking something that isn't normally divided in terms of like parental units, and then you're dividing it, and now what you're doing is you're posting it online, and the problem is your kid's gonna see it. And it's one of those things like, how are you going to walk this back to the kid? Like, oh, mommy was just having fun. Daddy was just having fun. And they're like, at the expense of my mom or dad, like, fuck you guys. Like, it just seems like something, it's like you're setting a trap. Again, it's like someone said here, like, the forest is setting itself on fire. Like, that's what it is. The forest is setting itself on fire when you're doing that. It's like, ooh, I'm going to embarrass them so much now. And then if the kid has a good relationship with the parent that you're trying to, like, shame, they're going to be like, that was really uncool.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to be a very long time before, any of this baby's peers come across this video, you know, to be fair. But I will say a lot of parents are very short-sighted about, you know, the consequences of social media. Like, for example, we just had the stream reviewing family court cases that were published to Zoom for anybody to watch. And one of the cases that we watched, you know, no one had the authority to release it. And when I found out that the father involved was actually someone on my following list and I talked to him, he was like, my kids are horrified that that went viral. It is affecting their social life. They're depressed. They're in therapy. Like, it devastates some of these families to have all that out there like that. You know, not everybody's ready. Now, again, do I have a serious concern about, like, this is a baby? Like I said, it's not, this baby's social life is probably not going to be impacted for a very long time. But, you know, in 15 years, who knows? Very likely someone's showing these kids, like, but, like, okay. If you're staying together, though.
Oh, if you're staying together, no, because again, it's you're burning your... You are the scorpion stabbing the frog if you're staying together.
Yeah, and so Samantha's theory, thank you for the 10. I have an interesting theory. Long Island is a very expensive place to live. Maybe they're staying together because neither of them could get by without the other. Not that that's a good reason. That I think I kind of soft suggested that in the beginning when I mentioned, like, the soft power, the costs of alimony, child support, divorce. All of that is, like, so messy. So, like, for all I know, she might have, like, this is truly what I'm thinking is it's like, if you don't do this, I'm going to hit you with all the alimony, all the child support. I am going to rake you over the coals. And so, like, think about it, though. Fellas, I know a lot of you are out here paying child support. Would you do this to get out of child support even if you didn't cheat?
Hell no, dude. You kidding me? No way. That would destroy. That could affect future job offerings.
That's yeah, that's so true.
You kidding me? Absolutely not.
Do you think that he did cheat? Do you think that there's any question that he cheated? I feel like he had to have.
But
there's a lot of false confessions.
I'm looking at his face. That look on his face is like...
I've seen a lot of guys look like that just being with the wrong woman.
Yep, this is what you deserve, you piece of shit. It's like, that's the look of a defeated man who's like, I did wrong and I got caught. Like, look
I know.
at him. He's just in it. He's wallowing in the shame.
I have to believe he did it, you know, because, like, it would be really hard to believe that a guy... But who knows? Like, also, again... starting with the fact that I'm inclined to believe her, that he probably did have a 2-year affair while actively planning this child, sounds believable, right? But also, it could be something like, it could be, based on some things we've seen in the past, that he had a close relationship with a female coworker, and she's calling it, like, an emotional affair.
Okay, yeah, we don't have as much context, yeah.
And maybe it's, like, very, like, thin line, and he's literally just like, I am doing whatever I need to do to potentially save my family. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, too, is, like, even if it's not that crazy, because she put this out here, she's forcing us all to come up with these crazy speculations.
Yeah.
Because now it's all of our business. Samantha, thank you for another generous dono, says, just to give an idea, a millionaire is living middle class on Long Island.
Woof. That's rough, buddy.
This is champagne problems then, huh? It truly shows money cannot buy everything. But then again, who's to say that they live on Long Island? They just took the subway to go to the most popular, most bougie, most likely to be recorded in 4K mall in New York. Okay, but for all we know, this could be a tour of the boroughs. This could be a whole borough tour. Okay, this might be popping up in Brooklyn. This might be popping off in all of the sides. I don't know all the boroughs by heart. Y'all know me, I'm a Michigan gal. Okay? There's so much to speculate on. Alright? But what are the odds of the couple making it after this? Like, there's so many. Sorry, my husband singing the Critical Role theme song is beautiful but distracting. Like, then Miles just opens the door back up. Mom, don't close me out. Subway doesn't go out to Long Island East End. Oh, so you have to drive to get there? That's some New York lore that becomes important. So they really had to either live there or go through extended effort to kind of get there. And yes, I do consider having to drive an extended effort in New York. There's no way they make it after that. I will tell you why I think they might. And it's the sad answer that I give to a lot of these situations. I'm going to leave it on screen, actually, because I feel like the faces of these two are so necessary for the context. I mentioned earlier that bro here literally just has resting sting for the kid's face. The kind of man who would go to a mall with this kind of scarlet letter so brazenly on his chest is the kind of man who will probably do anything to avoid having two separate Christmases. You know what I mean? I mean, anything but have a 2-year affair. God, anything but that, right? But at this point, anything he thinks will work. And they're both kind of desperate at this point. He is broken. How much I pity a 2-year-long cheater is very minimal. It's not like I have much, like, empathy for the dude. But as far as what we can learn from this situation, right? Fellas, if you cheated, this isn't gonna fix it. Just straight up. As I mentioned earlier, there are ways to repair a relationship after infidelity. As I said, open phone policy, locations on, constant reassurance, like making sure that they are very involved in your life, like no secrets, getting to that point where they don't even worry anymore. Like, it can happen. This isn't how. Parading them through the streets, making sure that every single person knows what they did. To be honest with you, this might be controversial dating and marriage, long-term relationship advice, but I'm going to be the one to tell it to you, and you guys can argue with me in the comments if you want. It is my firmest belief that if there is infidelity in a relationship and you and your partner choose to stay together and work on it, you're really only going to be able to do that if you both keep that shit to yourselves. And I hate to say that. I'm not saying you can't talk to a therapist. I'm not saying you can't create an anonymous Reddit account and post about it without any identifying information. There are outlets to safely talk about infidelity. However, you can't be telling your parents. You can't be telling all your friends. And you certainly can't be posting it to social media. Because you might say, like, well, it's the affair that really ruined the relationship. You can heal after an affair, but if you do all that, if you tell the parents, you tell all of your friends, you tell everybody who will listen, there's not much you can do to recover from that. Because even if you and your spouse get to a point where you trust each other again, you don't have to check each other's phones, you don't even worry about it anymore, no one else will ever forget or let either of you live it down. I promise you that. And that the hatred and the vitriol that they will feel for your partner will never be clouded by the love that you feel for them. They won't have any of that. They will have, like, just a relentless, unabashed vitriol for the cheater. There is going to be no forgiveness for anybody else. So, hot take... But if there's cheating in the relationship and you actually want it to work, You can't tell. You can't tell people. I hate to say that, but that's my hot take. That is my hot take. Tell your therapist. Truly. You know, if you, and honestly, there are probably some friends, if you truly and honestly believe that they will not go around telling people, that they will not hate your spouse truly afterward, maybe one or two of your closest, most diehard friends who won't just take your side. You know? It's a tough conversation, but it's one we gotta have. Because like this, it's over. It's so over. But it also might not be. Because, again, a lot of guys will just stay and live with that damage. We don't think that they will, but a lot of them will. So to be honest, my like, this is not my idealist perspective or judgment, but my realistic judgment is, yeah, they probably will not be splitting up. This singular event will probably trauma bond them together, actually, in like the worst, most toxic way. And I don't know any other details, but it's not going to be a fun time for that kid growing up with these two. I have to imagine. And like, what we can learn from this gentleman is why you should never do this. Like, by all means, take accountability to her. Admit that you cheated. Apologize. Go to therapy. But you don't want to be in this situation, and I will tell you exactly why. Because this child right here, hold on, let me see if I can read this. Oh, I'm so sorry, Vic. I missed it. I missed your comment. Copy and paste it, and I will try to read it in the chat here, Vic. I just barely saw it, and I forgot that it doesn't show up in my restream chat. But listen, fellas, you do this, and this baby right here, because even though this baby is not going to remember this moment, which I'm sure both of them are using to justify their actions right now, but this is not going to be the first time you do something like this. And this is not going to be the last time that she expects this now. You've kind of actually like broken through a whole new layer of what she knows that you'll deal with and tolerate. And if you continue this baby is going to learn that what love looks like is bending the knee and enduring public degradation to make your significant other happy. And you, mom, what you're teaching the baby is, oh, it's okay to tolerate being cheated on. All you have to do is abuse them back and it makes it even. So that's why we don't want to teach that to our kids. That's why we don't want to do this. It might look like the perfect cheater redemption arc, but in the long run, everyone's on fire. Everyone is burning. Like, call this situation chlamydia, because everyone is burning and everyone is itchy. There is no winner in this situation, dude. All right. Hold on. Here's Vic's. Are you about to go to school?
I am, yeah. What's Vic about to say?
Oh, Vic said, I believe that infidelity is the end of the relationship, period. Trust is destroyed. That's why I only give it a 7% survival rate. If you choose to stay together, you must start a new relationship with each other from scratch. New trust must be formed. Blasting it publicly is not conducive to trust. Well said.
Truly.
All right, TJ's going to school.
Okay, I love you.
Enjoy Goofy Movie 2.
Oh, you.
I love that our baby Miles has been with us this whole time, by the way. You've been such a cool baby.
I got a lot of lipstick on that one.
Don't anybody tell Miles this in dog, but I'm thinking about giving him a new bed for Christmas. The only reason he doesn't have a dog bed is because he has eaten 7 of them. But now that It's been a while, and he's been a lot better behaved. I think we might try round 8, electric boogalate. There's no cheater redemption arc. Cheating can't be redeemed. Split up and try to do better in the next relationship. For most of them, that is absolutely what I would recommend. This one, I'm gonna go ahead and get out the Dadvocate hammer of justice. And I think we can safely rule this relationship irreparable, but sadly probably going to muster on. I'm positive these two will stay together, unfortunately. Bad couple, both of you, yes. I only have the super no bottle right now. The no bottle was being used on the cats legitimately, which was their original use. So I think that about wraps it up here. Whoops, mandatory hype train cheer. Thank you, Punslinger. Thank you so much. Glad I caught you. I think that's going to wrap it up on our original story of the day with the parading the cheater around. Look, as entertaining as it is, I'm going to rate it a 0 out of 10 cheater rebuking, because I don't think rebuking is the right word. I'm going to rate it a 0 out of 10 cheater shaming because you involved the child directly and you didn't leave them, and now that child is epically cooked, unfortunately. Gotta hope that we have some like normal aunts, uncles, teacher, grandpa, grandma figures in this kid's life, because the parents seem a bit unhinged, I fear. But kid is probably going to come out being a great comedian. Kid will probably have some fire open mic sets, dog. Kid will definitely be funny. Man, I gotta say, without fail, this is something I try to warn people about. They're like, Lauren, it must be so cool working from home and being a content creator and a streamer. And like, honestly, yes. But without fail, every stream I get some weird foot guy that I have to block. There's always one who's like, it can never be a completely normal stream. There's always someone who's like, please show feet. Please, I beg you, show feet. $200 for feet. And I'm like, as weird as your day is, it could always be weirder. So listen, we don't have to do the timestamp because I'm going to do the BRB screen. I drank way too much coffee today. So I'm going to put up the BRB stream, and when we return, we will read the story about a wife who has asked her husband to set a budget for sex. Yep, you heard me right. Give me a few minutes and I'll be right back to tell you about it. Wait. Maybe show 1 foot and meet them halfway. That's fair. You can see my dude. All right. On that note, BRB. Okay, thank you for allowing me a brief hiatus. I also ate a turkey sandwich. Very delicious, very delicious. We gotta eat that leftover turkey with some mustard. The cultured ones know. Okay. Had to hiccup. Man, you know when you lose a sneeze and it feels so bad? You ever lose a hiccup? Might be worse. Okay. Let me pull this one up for you. I originally saved this, and then it got deleted. And I was like, no! But then, thank goodness, someone got a screenshot of it, so allow me to present to you. Am I the a-hole? Wife wants me to, quote-unquote, set a budget for sex as part of her stay-at-home mom role. I, a 33-year-old male, am the breadwinner in our family of 4. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and it's a decision we both agreed on. I take care of everything financially: food, clothes, bills, household needs, etc. Problem is, my wife wants me to set a budget for sex. Meaning, she wants to get money for it, as she considers it part of her stay-at-home mom duties. Her absurd and unreasonable suggestion, now demand, has caused a huge fight between us. She said it's her right since she'd work hard all day and take care of the house and kids. Then she has to stay up at night so we can have sex together, and it's exhausting for her and time-consuming, as she put it. I felt extremely upset and disappointed in her behavior, but she says she's in the right and that I'm being too selfish to see it. She keeps demanding it, but I refused. Am I the a-hole? SVR, thank you for the 2, says, does the Super No bottle contain hydrogen peroxide? I wish it did for this scenario. I wish it did. Oh, wow. So much to unpack here. So, one of the biggest issues that I'm just seeing off the jump is there are a lot of ways that women kind of quote-unquote train their partner to, you know, whatever their typical lifestyle is, or like what to expect from women in a way. And like, this is a really weird way to train your partner to only ever pay for sex. Right? Because that's kind of your suggestion, is like, the reason, what would actually make a lot more sense is if she was like, hey, I've noticed that with all of my duties and how much I'm contributing to the domestic household, that I'm actually doing more like hourly labor during the day. And so what would help offset that is if, you know, we pay a cleaner to offset this. You know what I'm saying? Like, pay somebody to take away a job so that we can at least have equal hours in the day and not resent each other. That's kind of a more common way to agree upon issues like this, or feelings of like differences in labor. But you notice she's not like offering to pay to offset that. You know what I'm saying? And so the other thing is, if you are too tired and exhausted to even enjoy having sex with your partner, how exactly would money necessarily help with that? You're saying that it would incentivize you to fake it, I guess is the implication here, because money doesn't necessarily make a woman orgasm. Like, that's not the final move that really, like... And so basically, we're on point number 3 of all of the things wrong with this, which is, do you think that men want to sleep with women who aren't excited about it? I think some begrudgingly will, but for the most part, from all the men I've ever known in my life, or at least have talked to about things regarding this nature, it sounds like it's not much more of a boner kill to have a partner who's just like, I guess. You know, it doesn't exactly put a pep in your step. It doesn't exactly take you from 6 to midnight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make you, like, feel that machismo in your chest. You know, it's the wind out of your sails. Like, as a man, you should have no interest in pursuing anything of that kind of juice, of that kind of caliber, unless the consent is, like, enthusiastic and beyond. Unless she is, like, hells to the yes, both verbally and through body language. Like, most guys are just like, this isn't even good. So, apparently, a budget would give you, like, the actor nominee skills that he needs to get, like, a believable consent out of you. Like, this just sounds incredibly and deeply problematic. Even when I try to look at it through every single lens of, like, well, how could this possibly benefit feminism? Like, even when I agree domestic labor is labor, and it is. It's labor that should be appreciated, should be seen as real work, you know? Some of you guys might have been there during a previous live when someone said that being a mom isn't a real job, and I, like, nearly lost my mind because it's so much work. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be the first one to say that. But a budget? Not a monetary budget. How about, like, a time budget? Like, how about, hey, if you want a more active sex life, you need to cut back on work so that we can have a proper date night to get me in the mood for it. Or like a budget of, hey, when you get home from work, instead of going straight to playing video games, why don't we sit and talk so that we can build that intimacy, and it will probably improve our sex life. Like, that's the kind of budget you want to be setting if your sex life is poor. You know, if you're exhausted and miserable and you don't even want to agree to it on your own, then it sounds like I don't think money has ever historically helped with that. By the time it does, there's typically not much marriage involved. If that's fair to say, unless we're going, like, full on Hugh Hefner sugar baby level, but most guys can't quite afford that. Like, even as the breadwinner of a family of 4, that doesn't mean you're making 6 figures. I know plenty of guys making $50,000 a year, and they are unfortunately the breadwinner of a family of 4, just trying to make it work, man. You know? Like, what? This is a bizarre suggestion, and the problem is that from the sound of it, it's not a suggestion. This is now an ultimatum placed upon their marriage. We're now unmoving in this. It is, you have to pay the troll toll if you wanted to get in your wife's hole, dude. We're fully there. He fully needs to pay the fee to get in. Watch this become a dead bedroom. Like, if this is me, if I'm the man in this situation, you're telling me I have to pay the troll toll? Nah, because I'ma just be alone. There is no way. Okay? And, like, no, like, truly no offense to sex workers. It's just it should be a different thing. The relationship that a person has with a sex worker should not be identical to the relationship you share with your wife, as I'm sure even sex workers who sleep with plenty of married people would agree. Okay? Someone says, I think it probably already is a dead bedroom. Maybe this is her way of trying to get him to do the divorce paperwork. You know, it really is a drag going through all of that stuff. This is like, my mom admitted to me that she was like extra mean and annoying to me when I turned 18 and leading up to it to kind of expedite me wanting to move out. And that worked. So, like, maybe this is a similar thing. Like, maybe she's just like, you know what? I'm going to be as off-putting as possible because I don't want to do the divorce paperwork. That's too much for me right now. I don't know, man. Maybe she's just trying to speed run it because, like, I cannot. Luckily, I don't know too many women in my personal life who would think that this is an actual honest-to-God solution to whatever issues she's got going on in her life. But tragically, I do know that this is a subgenre of a very, very specific type of woman. Ones that you really need to be aware of. It's the way that Emily King put it is the most dangerous type of relationship to be in is one where they don't want to love you, but they don't want you to leave them. I'm going to say that again to make sure you heard that right. The most dangerous relationship to be in, quote Emily King, is the one where they don't want to love you, but they don't want you to leave them. Right? And that's what's happening here. She doesn't actually want to love him. Okay? If she did, she would try to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's very normal for a woman to lose her libido, especially having kids. Happened to me. It's a very, very natural, well-documented phenomenon. And when it happened to me, I started exploring what to do to get it back. I went on my own little, like, Austin Powers getting my mojo back journey. I'm like, is it my B12? How are my vitamins doing? How is my personal health? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I taking care of my body the right way? What can we do emotionally to regulate? Do we need to get do we need to do more financial budgeting to put ourselves at more of a balanced location? Do we need to balance the parenting duties more? Like, we really talked about it, and it was like a thing. It wasn't just like a one-sided spite resentment thing. And in this situation, there's clearly some kind of a resentment. She's pissed. She feels like she's not seen, like her labor isn't valued, but she's going about expressing it in the fucking wrongest way. Just so bad. Listen, ladies, I think that a lot of you in your life will probably have to experience so much unseen efforts. This isn't even a ladies thing. Gentlemen, I know you too. So many exchanged light bulbs no one noticed. So many things rehung that just absolutely went unseen by the world. There's going to be a lot of that, and you have every right to try and get your partner's attention in a way of like, how can we practice more gratitude for each other? How can we work on things without turning yourself into a literal prostitute? That you can do it. You can do it. I don't even care what kind of relationship you have. Even in poly relationships where you already work as a sex worker, you still don't have to prostitute yourself to resolve any of your relationship issues. And if you feel like you have to, please contact a helpline, because oh my God, no. All right. I'm out. We can't be doing this. We can't, no. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the memes of women who are asking their husbands for money to pay a cleaner, but then they just clean themselves, and now they're like getting paid to do that. And I'm like, even that makes 10 times more sense than this. I still think you should go about it in an honest way. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if I'm going to do the majority of the domestic labor and you're earning all the money, do you mind if I have like an increased allowance for all my labor? However it is you do it. Like, I don't know. I have never dated for money. I'm like, I got my own money. I'm not trying to like mooch off you. So I don't know how it is to like have to ask for an allowance or anything, but I would imagine that honest communication would probably go a lot further, because I personally would not like someone misappropriating finances or misleading me to what they are being used upon. Right? Report her for tax evasion. Honestly, though, that's the thing, is like, if you want to be an employee, you better get that 1044 form or whatever it is for independent contractors. You better do it right. You better be paying Uncle Sam if you want that man's cleaning service money. That's so interesting. So for this case of, am I the asshole for not setting a budget for my wife for sex? Definitely not the a-hole. Definitely not. I'm not usually one to recommend a sex protest, but now's the time, dude. I say just absolutely Lysistrata it up. Do not give her no dick. No D. You're on D hiatus with this shit. In fact, make her pay for the next round. No, don't prostitute yourself. You prostitute yourself. Do you see how fast I switch up? You guys really gotta... Levi tried. He tried to tell me to calm down, but it was too early. I already forgot by the time I went off. Yeah, he definitely needs to reverse Uno card this and be like, nah, I raise you having a budget for sex and demanding my own toll payment. I know my worth. I'm not just the breadwinner, I'm the bread dicker. You're gonna pay for the bread dick. All right. I think we can timestamp that. I think we can move on to our next one. Okay. I have a painful to read story. We can do the painful story. We can do am I the a-hole for not being grateful for my husband? Vote now. Do you want best friend confesses feelings, and I wrote trigger warning painful? Or do we want am I the a-hole for not being grateful for my husband? Vote now. First 3 wins. I'm not going to make this complicated or draw it out. But hit me with it, chat. 1 vote for best friend one. Okay. 1 vote for the painful. Oh, that's 2. That's 2 out of 3. Okay. We'll do the best friend one. Let's go. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Do you guys want text sunscreen or no? For now, I'm not going to do it because it's a big wall of text. It'd be hard to read anyway. Let me know if you do, though. A 26-year-old female best friend, a 27-year-old male, confessed his love to me last month. Now I feel like I lost him, and I'm so confused. Please help. This story is going to be a fun reminder that men are not the only ones who are terrible at picking up on signals or misreading the room, okay? 3 months ago, I ended my 2-year relationship and was extremely heartbroken over it. My childhood best friend, Rob, offered to fly me to his city to help cheer me up for a few days. On the second night, we were laying in his bed, and he confessed that he had been in love with me for over 10 years. I told him that I love him too, and could see a future where we ended up together, but that it was too soon after my breakup for anything to happen. Boo! bit of a carrot on a string there, don't you think, OP? Bit of a cliffhanger there, bit of a can I freeze dry you for later there, OP. Let's keep reading. I mean, like, but also, like, fair, like, you did just end this relationship. I understand the reservation, but just a bit of a thing I noticed. It was a very emotionally intimate night, and he did ask to kiss me, but I said no, too soon. So we cuddled a little and fell asleep. I told him to have a nice dream, and he told me that this was his dream, and nothing could be better than this. I had never seen him so happy. So they technically slept together. Technically. In the most leading, will they, won't they, I'm dying inside way. Samantha, thank you for another dono. Says, I think she didn't want to make him a rebound. Okay. Like I said, I understand the reservations, but then we kind of toyed around with those reservations, didn't we? We kind of like, oh, it's too soon, but not for this, but too soon, but not for this, but too soon. Like, what are we doing? I hate this dance. The next day, things were relatively normal. For who? Who were they normal for? Is the normal in the room with us now? Vic, I won't miss another one, says, did you say laying in his bed after flying out to see him? That is what I said. That is what I said. You heard me correctly. And falling asleep and sleeping all the way through together in each other's arms. Yes. And so the next day, things were relatively normal, she says. But at night, he went to go sleep on the couch. Uh-huh. I was worried that I had done something to upset him, and practically begged him to just stay in bed. But he just said he felt guilty about everything and didn't want to continue. In parentheses, she writes, guilt because he is sort of friends with my ex. I understood but went to bed sad. He did the same thing the following night. So the self-awareness check came out to be a 0 with bonuses. Okay, actually, let me recalculate. A -20 with bonuses. Amazing. So that's going to be a -20 on the self-awareness of the situation here. Really no clues. Not a single idea as to why he might not want to be sleeping with you. After you told him that it's too soon, after you're well aware of the fact that this person is also a friend, just you're not piecing together that maybe he's trying to salvage any actual shot he has with this and doesn't want to fuck every single thing up or be accused of anything. No? Okay, let's keep reading. My last day. Had a great day. Explored the city. So clueless. And then, laying in bed right before we left to the airport, he kissed me. I kissed him back briefly, then stopped myself and asked why he did that. So you stopped yourself and then confirmed all of his worst fears, is the way I read it. After consensually kissing him back, you decided to ask him a stupid fucking question that you already know the answer to because he told you a few days prior that you're his dream and he's in love with you, but you decided to just play fucking stupid in a way that would clearly hurt and upset him, but you're gonna pretend you don't know what you're doing. Okay, I told you this was gonna be painful. I told you this was gonna be hard. All right. He responded that he'd been wanting to do that for a very long time. Fucking obviously, like I said, as he just told you. On the drive to the airport, guilt completely overcame me, and I left feeling terrible. The next day, I texted him that I now understand the guilt he was feeling, and I want to go back to normal, and he agreed. You know how you just sleep with and kiss your best friend of over 10 years after they confess your love to you? You know how you can just kind of like push the reset button on that and just pretend none of that happened? How easy that is? So it should be pretty simple, the rest of this story. We've all been there, where we literally have a deeply emotionally intimate night where one of our besties confesses their decade-long love, affection, and almost unconditional commitment to us, and we swap spit a little bit while being embraced fully into each other's arms for an entire REM cycle. Just like, and we just like pretended it never happened and everything was fine. And after that, you know how we've all done that? Like, they could just do that. It's so easy. Just, I'm gonna keep reading. Since then, he's been randomly ghosting me for 4 to 5 days at a time and completely shuts down any attempt to talk about what happened. I'm trying to be understanding, but it's like he completely lost interest in me out of nowhere. Like, I mean nothing to him, and I don't understand it. I mean, it's not like I rejected him. If that's not a rejection, do you think that you accepted his proposition? What do you think that you did? Well, I neutralized it, Your Honor. I didn't reject him. I just neutralized his offer. That's all. You didn't reject him? What do you mean? And then, like, what do you mean you're still trying to talk about what happened? Why do you want to talk about what happened? You agreed to go back to being normal. You know what's not normal? Talking about what happened. That's not in line with what you said you wanted to do. He's trying to respect you. He's not shutting you down to be an a-hole. He's shutting you down because you literally told him, let's shut this down. Vic, thank you so much. The lack of self-awareness is almost dwarfed by the fact that she retyped this whole story into Reddit and still doesn't see it. I've been there so many times. Like, I've started typing out something and then halfway through I'm like, oh dude, this is cringe, or like, this is not the way for me to properly handle this. And like, literally at no point while writing this is she like, oh, that might have been We've got one more paragraph left. She says, I don't really know what he's thinking or feeling. When I ask, he just says he feels guilty. I truly do see a future for us together, and I do love him. How do I fix this? I don't want to lose him. I feel like I'm going through another breakup. I was thinking I could mail him a letter explaining how much I love him with a small gift. Yeah, if you want to make everything 10,000% worse and more confusing, definitely do that. Definitely do that. She says, I don't want him to bury his feelings for me again. I want us to try at love. I just need more time. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Okay, this is just so awkward because I think we can all meet her halfway on, like, it might be too soon to start something. I think everybody agrees with that, right? Hold on, let me read this real quick before it goes away. Thank you, Shadowclaw. Back a while ago, I remember you giving a great definition of friend zoning. I don't remember what you said. Do you remember what it was? God, I don't remember the exact the exact thing, but my personal definition of the friend zone is basically when someone wants all of the benefits of you being their boyfriend without giving you any of the benefits of you being their girlfriend. Does that make sense? If you feel like you're in a relationship like that, that's where it's different from friendship. Friendship, it's not like, friendship is never perfectly reciprocal, and who's keeping tabs anyway? But like a relationship, you shouldn't ever in a friendship feel like you're in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And if you do, if it feels like someone is trying to use you for all of the like typical boyfriend or rewards or like girlfriend rewards, and guys can do this with girls too. Like I know guys who have refused to commit romantically to girls but do enjoy using them as arm candy for certain events or whenever they need to make someone jealous. The social currency kind of works both ways in that regard, but it's like instead of using men for arm candy, we might be like, oh hey bestie, I need help moving or like installing this lamp fixture. Oh my god, you're so good. Like, how are you single? Very familiar. So this is also where she says something crazy. Hold on, let me find. This is the comment. I found this later on in the thread. She's responding to someone. And she says, to be honest, I love Rob and we would be a great couple. I always thought that we would stay friends forever, and then maybe when we are in our 60s and widowed or single, we would find our way to each other and get married then. Let me just pull this up so that you guys can see that I'm not bullshitting you, that this is a real ass sentence. Dude. You always saw yourselves as being together, but only when you're old and decrepit and your husband has died? What in the actual Sam Hill? I've heard of the whole like, if we're still single in our 30s, then we'll get married. Like, I've heard of those types of agreements, which, like, the older we get, the more I start to realize that the 30s is not late enough if you really want to be having a last-ditch resort. Just be careful. Those 30s creep up on you. So make sure your 30s commitment is a good commitment, one that you can actually commit to, okay? But saying, if we're somehow still alone by our 60s, do you want to finally get together? Just punch me in the face at that point. Like, if you're trying to hurt me, just bow and arrow the shit out of me. What do you mean I'm only romantically valuable to you when you have exhausted all of your options at the end of your life? What? That is the most final tier friend zone I've ever heard. Like, talk about truly keeping someone on standby for as long as fucking possible. That's inhumane. This should go against like the international humanity organizations of every caliber. This should be a war crime. Telling a man, wait for me until I'm 60? Bitch, who do you think you are? Not even Rose from the Titanic. Okay? Not even Rose. Okay? That's... This is one of the wildest situations, and this is where I say, we can't save these people. We can't save these hoes. Only God can save these hoes. But what we can do is learn from their hoery. Okay? And gentlemen, by all means, if one of your OG friends, even of the opposite gender, maybe one you even had a crush on, is going through one of the worst breakups of their lives, and you have the means to not put yourself back by treating them out and you're not expecting anything and you're totally okay with things going either way, then by all means, like, do that. That's like the initial come on out and like, let me take care of you thing, and like, maybe I'll shoot my shot. You know, obviously you want to wait a little bit, but like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. Maybe if he waited a little bit more, he could have had more luck in this department, but like, girlfriend, we gave the last woman in the last story the lenience of postpartum brain. You do not have that. You do not get the postpartum brain excuse. There is no like post-breakup brain where like, oh, since I'm going through a breakup, I get to just completely forget all social etiquette. Like, no, because you knew what was happening and you have no ability to set boundaries whatsoever. You have no ability at all to make distinctions, but she can. She's able to, like, it was such a... this was so much worse than mixed signals here, because she literally was like, okay, you literally told me you love me, so I'm gonna say I love you too, but not like that. And okay, you want to sleep with me? Yes, I'll sleep with you. Oh, but not like that. And things are too soon. I'm going to put you at an arm's length. But why are you being at an arm's length? This is uncomfortable for me. Are you mad at me? And wait, like, listen, let's not go any further. Okay, but wait, why don't you want to go any further with me? Like, someone fight her. He didn't say maybe I'll shoot my shot. Dang it, I lost it. I'm so sorry. I wish Restream would show these in the chat so that I can just scroll up a little bit. Copy paste it. I'm watching. Okay. Oof, listening to this at double speed is double the pain. I actually think it's worse if it's slower, to be honest with you, Dylan. He didn't say maybe I'll shoot my shot. She was literally cuddling him in his bed when he said, I like this, and she said me too. He didn't shoot his shot. She shot faster than Han Solo. You know what? You know what, Vic? When you're right, you're right. It definitely took two to play out this tango. It's just that he's better at setting actual consistent boundaries. He's better at navigating relationships, and hopefully he'll be able to get out of this faster. Meanwhile, I kind of hope she got Chad widowed by this, in a way. I hope that, like, as soon as he gets a girlfriend, she can't sleep. I know that's mean to say, because again, it's fair that she needed more time. That's fair. It's just that, like, I wish that people who cannot at all offer someone even remotely what they're looking for would at least just fully fess up to it, instead of like teasing them with like a trailer of what could be if they actually felt like committing. Pick a lane. Shala, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Only if you're the last man on earth romantically. That's the way I took it, dude. That is the exact way I took it. Is like, I would never be flattered by someone saying like, I love you too, if I had to. Like, what is that? I think I just stumbled upon some gold. Thank you, Shadowclaw. I think I just stumbled upon some gold here, and I'm going to use this from now on. Just like STDs, personality disorders aren't Pokemon. You're not supposed to collect them all. It's like a Pokemon moveset. Like, 4 is a good max, I think. And at least one that you can go Gigantamax. I definitely Gigantamax my anxiety. If you need more time, don't sleep in your best friend's bed and cuddle him. Say you can see a future with him. Yeah. I like that. That's like very fair down the middle recommendation, Vic, is like, I think that there was a way to have delivered the idea of like, listen, give me some time, and if you're still single, like, give them an out, for God's sake. Give these people an out. Be like, if you're still single, if you haven't found anybody, reach back out to me. I just need a little bit more time. That's fair to me. You know what I'm saying? And even like, I feel like there's even a way that you could have even like messed around physically and still not let them on and been like, just so you know, like, please don't take this to mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, I think people really appreciate honesty when you're like, just so you know, no strings attached. Like, That way, you know you already set the groundwork. It's on them at this point. You put the ball in their court. They decided to keep playing, you know? But this lady, she doesn't know how to run a court. She doesn't know how to throw a ball. She just maybe she knows how to throw a ball, but she doesn't know what she's throwing it at. She doesn't know how to dribble. She don't know what she's doing, man. She's throwing things, seeing what sticks. Nothing's sticking. Terastalizing, is that what it's called? Changing type at every turn. She really said, I love you as a last resort. Oh my god. This reminds me of the story I told before on a different live stream about how I once was dating a guy who days before ghosting me texted with, I almost said I love you the other day. Peak commitments. Peak non-committal, try to loop you in emotionally. That move will live as rent-free in my head as the IOU in a gift box on Christmas. Like I said, you do have to kiss a couple frogs. Okay, I shouldn't call them frogs. They went on to become great men who married beautiful women. But we all do some froggy behavior sometimes too. All right. They asked for help. They posted this to relationship advice. So my best help for you is definitely stay in therapy. Learn how to set boundaries. Figure out what's going on in here. Okay? And don't even worry about him. Don't worry about him. If he reaches out in a few months' time, so be it. Leave that man alone till you're done with yourself. How did the comments treat her? Honestly, this one did not really pop off. I'll show you guys. Someone says, there is no normal, you cannot go back. His lifelong dream is you. That's it. Let me move this over a bit. You cannot just be close friends, so call him up and tell him you want to fall in love with him and start dating long distance. Or break it off and apologize for leading him on. Do you agree that that's good advice? That maybe she should just be like, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot, I love you? That, honestly, that could work. That could work. I will say, similarly, after TJ and I's, like, first official date, because we had been, like, talking for a month or so before we finally went on our first real date, and after our first date, TJ kind of did ghost me. And I literally was like, okay, I guess that's done. Like, I guess I'm just never going to talk to him again. Like, whatever. Like, it's fine. I'm in my early 20s. I'll survive. But then he ends up calling me. And I didn't ignore his call on purpose. I was just out on a bike ride. But I remember, like, specifically where I was. I was stopped at a stoplight outside of a Kmart, and I was like, maybe I feel like I felt my phone buzz. I'm gonna check, and I saw a voicemail. So I stopped outside this voicemail, and I was like, because people of our generation, we don't leave voicemails. So I was like, this man left me a voicemail, and he was like, dude, I blew it. I ghosted you. I take full accountability. I 100% did, because you're the first person that I've dated since the mother of my child, and it's been years, and I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm really scared that this is going to result in like some kind of backlash or blow up, and I don't want to be afraid of that anymore, and I want to take you on a second date if you would at all have me. And I'm like, oh, you know what, that's legit, that's all she needs to do. Pick a lane, either no, never, or yes. It's always been you. The problem is her hypocrisy of wanting it both ways. How long was the end of the date to the voicemail? Like 3 to 5 days, I want to say. It's so hard to say because it's like over 10 years ago. And it was funny too, because I remember in between that time, I had like posted a little picture like that I tagged TJ in online, like alluding to us being on a date. And a guy that he went to college with slid into my DMs and was like, hey, are you dating TJ? And I was like, you know, we went on a date, but I'm pretty sure we're never going to talk again. So, like, I don't know. I haven't heard from him. And he goes, good, because he's the biggest asshole I've ever met in my entire life. And I'm like, oh, shit. And he goes off, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, thanks for the warning. Like I said, like, we're probably never going to talk again, though. But, you know, thanks for letting me know. And then I got that voicemail, and I didn't tell TJ about that for, like, maybe months to years, honestly. Like, I never told him about that interaction. But then after a while, I was like, hey, dude, you should know, by the way, before you called me back, this guy tried to, like, sabotage you. And he was like, oh, him. In college, I dated a girl he liked. I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes dudes can be just as petty as women. Like, truly, pettiness knows no gender, man. It didn't work, though. And that guy later unfriended me. He got a little upsetty in the spaghetti, I guess. But, yeah. I guess that'll do it. Anyway. Yeah, it could work. If she eats her pride and takes a chance, she could do it. Otherwise, nah, you gotta get her. DJ cock blocked him. Oh, man. You know what, though? It was a college theater department, okay? If you couldn't get with somebody in there, that's on you. All right. I think we can timestamp that one and move on to our next story. I don't know if I should be doing the timestamps a little longer. I might not be giving anybody a fair shot. All right. So the next one that I have for you guys. This one's a unique one. Samantha, I think you're the one who sent this to me, actually. This is an Am I the A-hole that reads, Am I the a-hole for refusing to thank my husband for staying with me after I became disabled? Before we even get into this, I myself have gone into how much I detest this whole, like, female mentality of, I am not gonna thank my husband for doing things he's supposed to do. I think it's such a weird, toxic mentality that has kind of proliferated its way through the female zeitgeist. And I don't like it. I think you should just say thank you for ordinary things because it adds magic and affection to life, and it makes things a lot easier, and it makes everybody feel more appreciated and seen. I'm all about the attitude of gratitude. However, do you have to thank someone for fulfilling their marital obligations? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't thank TJ for not cheating on me. Like that's one of those beyond the scope of, like, well, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You know, like, I guess maybe we should be thanking our spouses for not cheating on us, but what are those things that, like, you don't really think to do in the moment? That being said, let's get some more context here. OP writes, I, a 26-year-old female, young to get disabled, unfortunately. I, a 26-year-old female, have been with my husband, Jake, a 28-year-old male, for 7 years, married for 5. About 3 years ago, I was in a situation where I ended up with severe nerve damage in my hands, leaving me disabled. I have very little use or feeling in my hands and can't do any fine motor activities and struggle to use my hands to do many day-to-day activities. Like typing a Reddit post? Look, I'm sorry guys, just to be a little bit skeptical. I know voice to text is a thing, but girl, you can't use your hands? It looks like you can. Anyway, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being a little ableist, but this is I take your ableism and I trade you a general skepticism cause Reddit, and going back to the big but. So apparently she can't use her hands. While most things I can manage all right if given plenty of time to accomplish said tasks, the extensive use of the joints in my fingers causes excruciating pain and numbness. For example, typing for too fast or too long, doing makeup, writing with a normal pen or pencil. On my really bad days, I can struggle with tasks like holding the remote and turning doorknobs. I'm sorry, just the consistency here is not consistencing. You can't do this, but you can do this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 paragraphs? You can't do this, but you can do this? More? I mean, again, maybe the voice to text is voice to texting, but I'm also like, huh? Because my husband loves me and is a good person, he's taken on a lot of work in assisting me do things himself and creating easier ways for me to do things, including wrapping tape or gauze around thinner handheld objects, buying every kitchen tool he can find that has bigger moving parts, and even just doing a lot of things for me. My husband often cuts my food for me, does most of the dishes and cooking, ties my shoes, zips my coat, and a million other things to make my life easier. He even learned how to do eyeliner and blush for the days I want to wear makeup, but can't because my hands are numb. Okay, that's pretty intense. Doing eyeliner is no small feat, okay? Even the girlies will admit it. But fellas, have you ever tried doing that? I doubt Johnny Depp did it himself when he was being a pirate. I'll tell you that, okay? We had my in-laws, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and my husband's 2 sisters and their husbands and kids, his brother and his aunt and uncle. Oh my God, so like literally an entire family reunion. Over for a Halloween dinner party for the weekend. I was having a rough day with the pain and numbness, so my husband did most of the cooking while I sat at the table with my in-laws. My husband let everyone know the food was done and immediately dished me up and brought me my food before getting his, which I of course thanked him for. After I'd finished my food, he went and got me more of whatever I wanted, got me dessert, and took my dishes away as he normally does when I have bad days. And of course, I thanked him whenever he did so. My in-laws are aware of my issues, so they don't question my husband doing things for me. However, my mother-in-law likes to brag about what a good person my husband is for helping me, and how lucky I am to have him. Which shouldn't really be a problem, except for the fact that she acts like I should be grateful that my husband stays with me and assists me despite my disability. Of course I'm grateful for everything he does, but wedding vows are literally in sickness and in health. Staying with and supporting your partner if they become ill or disabled is the bare minimum a spouse should do. I'm not going to get down on my knees and thank the gods above that my husband didn't leave me when I became disabled, as my mother-in-law thinks I should, because it's the bare minimum. If you leave your sick or disabled partner just because they're sick or disabled, you never loved them in the first place. I want to pause on that. Do you think that that sentence is true? Because I agree with most of what she's saying. I can tell where she might piss some people off with her kind of inflammatory language. I myself, I get triggered by like bare minimum because I just find it to be so annoying, and I feel like it's just this blanket method of people not wanting to appreciate simple things. You know, I understand that there's a time and a place for it, but its overuse has left a sour taste in my mouth, right? But as far as the idea that if you love someone when they become sick or disabled, you never loved them to begin with. Now, I think that there's some truth to that. For example, you know, I've said before, I don't think that you should marry someone until, you know, you've kind of dealt with them at their worst and seen them at their worst, quite frankly. Just to know what you're in for. Because the truth of the matter is, you know, it's in sickness and in health and all that, but what if you don't know what in sickness even looks like with them before you make these vows? And you didn't actually know what you were in for. Some people get like nasty when they get sick. Doesn't seem to be the case here, but you don't necessarily know. Now, to be fair, that's anybody, because there's so many sicknesses and disabilities that can fall upon you that you kind of have to basically just be ready to support your spouse and whatever those are. I think there's definitely some truth to it, but only a Sith deals in absolutes, says Vic. Also, I think you missed a couple bit of messages about speech to text. Were they super chats or just chats? Hold on. Yeah, I don't see any other... I might have missed some cheers if they were Twitch, unfortunately. But it's tough because your feelings... I think that your feelings for someone can change based on certain situations and hardships. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you never loved them. So that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. But I will say you should be sticking with your partner through rich for poor, mutilation, whatever. They were cheer messages. Cheer 2020. I use voice text all the time, and it's very easy to get carried away and write long paragraphs. It happens all the time. It's the opposite. But don't you usually have to, like, be very specific, like, period, comma, parentheses, you know? I guess it could be. It could be. And then Vic says, I also have a hand disability and I use voice to text for everything, even writing code for my job. It makes it more likely you'll write longer posts, not less. Interesting. Okay. Fair enough. So I'm going to take back my judgment here. All right. So, yeah, I will say definitely don't marry anybody unless, like, you're ready for them to get bald, get fat, lose a leg, lose an arm, have some purple thing grow on their cheek. You never know, dude. Just be ready. Don't leave them when times get hard. Okay? Otherwise just don't get married. You're not ready for the big boy games. Sorry. You're not ready to chill with us big dogs. You don't got that dog in you yet. Shadowclaw says, yes, and it's really annoying having to say period all the time, causing me to say period IRL. It's such a bad habit that I've gotten into when I'm talking to people. It's embarrassing. That's so funny, though. Oh, man, I'm surprised that hasn't happened to my mother-in-law, because she's a talk-to-texter. Or it's fake, it's not that deep. That's what I'm saying, we never sleep. But the reason we talk about stuff, even if it's fake, is to learn lessons from things, gather what we can from them. You know what I mean? So, going on with the story. Towards the end of the night, my mother-in-law was again gushing over what an amazing man she raised when she said, OP, you really should be thanking him for all he does for you. Not every husband would stay with a wife who can't do very much. It's a privilege to be married to the kind of man my son is. You need to thank him for staying with you when you had your accident. Not every man would do what he did. Yeah, that's not even meaning well. Like, how did you not... Is it because you knew she couldn't throw hands? Is that why you said that? Because you knew she couldn't punch you in the face? Is that what that was? That sounds like the kind of thing you only say when you are confident a person cannot punch not only your face, but through your face. Like, directly through the whole thing. The boy does need to check his mom a little bit, Aaron. I'm with you. My mother-in-law has said some insensitive and ignorant things and a plethora of downright rude and hurtful things, but she's never gone so far as to outright tell me I should thank my husband for not divorcing me. But I didn't want to take her bait or whatever the hell it was, so I said, oh, I thank him all the time for whatever he does for me. Okay. My mother-in-law responded saying, but did you ever actually thank him for staying with you? Not just cutting your steak, but for still being married to you? It really doesn't seem like you appreciate him much, and it breaks my heart because he's still so kind to you. Oh my God, this sounds like when someone starts an argument, and even when, like, quickly corrected very early on, they're almost like too embarrassed or like too invested with their ego to relinquish it. So they just start like finding ways to be like, yeah, but yeah, but this, yeah, but that, like finding something to be mad about because they don't want to like relinquish the fight they started. So it's like, even though she's literally been thanking the dude all night for helping her out so much, the mother-in-law is like, well, it's still not good enough. And like, yeah, I hope she lays into her. At this point, I had enough and gave her my honest response. I told her that no, I have never and will never thank my husband for not divorcing me over nerve damage, that it's a spouse's job to love and take care of their partner, and nobody deserves a cookie or a pat on the back for staying with the person they literally vowed to stay with in sickness and health. That is the common belief that disabled people aren't deserving of love and should be grateful that someone is willing to be with them is harmful and ableist. Insinuating that disabled people are less than able-bodied people and don't deserve the same things as everyone else is absolutely disgusting. I mean, yeah. Hit the nail on the head there, dude. Like, you know what's so funny is it's like, it's not like a disability check doesn't count as child support. So clearly disabled people are worth just as much as able-bodied people in certain departments. But when it comes to whether or not your spouse should stay with you without you groveling on your knees to them, like, that's wild. Darren says, on one hand, she is right, as it does happen a lot, but she's also not right for pointing it out. But it's definitely one of those things that you don't need to point out necessarily. Like, when I'm sick and my husband takes care of me, I don't need anybody to remind me that a lot of people's husbands don't take care of them. I know. Like, how about you correct me when I'm actually doing something wrong, right? Like, if you notice consistently that he's doing things for me and I'm just barking orders and never showing gratitude, pull me aside and have a conversation with me, absolutely. But if all I'm doing is existing as a disabled person and being extremely grateful to everyone who helps me with my extra needs, what are you here to correct me for? For not being able-bodied? What is the criticism? For existing, like, as a disabled person? My wife has thanked me after boning her before. That's hilarious. I'm positive I've done something similar. Like something like, thank you for the dicking or something. You just gotta be silly sometimes. We're almost through with this, but she says, my mother-in-law got defensive and angry, saying she was only looking out for her son, and I told her to leave. My husband backed me up. She and my father-in-law left in a huff, but several of my in-laws told me, you should have just let her be. So the whole family is enabling her. No wonder she's just so used to casually throwing around the worst things you've ever heard a person say out loud. It's just because everyone's just like, we don't want to make mom upset. Let her be mad. Y'all siblings need to stick together and learn how to let your mom be mad, dude. They said that I knew she was tipsy and getting worked up, and I could have just let her have it. Have what? Ableism? She just deserves ableism as a little tipsy treat? Oh, well, when you have a little Jack in you, you're allowed to become bigoted and prejudiced. Oh, you can't blame her for saying the shittiest thing she's ever said. She had a shot of Tito's. It's not her, it's the Tito's talking. Fuck these siblings, they're just as culpable for this whole situation. My husband's aunt even told me that going out of my way to not just say thank you was a huge dick move. Wow, they really wanted her to completely acquiesce to this little tipsy temper tantrum that the in-law was showing here. That is so demoralizing. That's not just triangulation. That's like octupulation. That's like an entire football team or half of one working all against you. It's like in Mario Party when you're the only one with the red space and it's 3-on-1. But not even, because at least that's, in those ones, they give you some kind of advantage to even it out. In these ones, there's just no advantage. It's more like Super Smash Bros. 8-player, and it's 7 players on one team against you. And it's all like computer 10 stock. Is that a fairer video game analogy for this situation? Basically, you're ganging up on the disabled girl, dude. It's a bunch of able-bodied assholes ganging up on a disabled girl who's been more than polite to her husband all night long, dude. Now, to be fair, this is only her side. Maybe behind closed doors, the husband has expressed things to the siblings like, man, I really feel like she's bossing me around. I feel like maybe she's able to do more than she's letting on, and she's really taking advantage of me. Maybe there's been like some behind the scenes well poisoning that is not being conveyed here for all we know. Maybe like she has been more nasty than she's letting on. We can only speculate. But I will say, if it says things go down, yeah, the mother-in-law is a huge asshole. Absolutely. What the hell? That's crazy to say that. And mildly incestuous, if I may. Like, I don't know. I think it's normal for a mother to have some concerns that her son may be being taken advantage of, but learn how to handle your alcohol, lady. Go sober, dude. If this is you and you drink, you cannot be touching that sauce. One other note underneath Am I the A-hole says, my husband frequently shuts his mom down when she gets on like that, and he did tell her to stop. I'd also like to mention that yes, of course, I'm aware there are circumstances in which people are unable to take care of a sick or disabled spouse. I know there's going to be that person who comes at me with the what if situations. Okay, so it seems like she was already kind of ready for some opposition of like, some of us, like, just literally do not have the means to do it, I guess, is one common thing. And I don't know what you do in those situations. I really don't. But I know one thing that probably would help anybody in a situation of either being disabled or helping your spouse along who is disabled is probably, kicking out anybody who dares tell you that you should be on your hands and knees praising your spouse for not divorcing you. Probably kicking them out is one good thing that everyone could do in those situations. Oh my god. It helps when the person's a lot more grateful than this woman seems to be. So are there some of you who are hearing this and you're like, I can see why the family members think that you're a little ungrateful. That response, it's like, if you just say that at the first time of like, maybe someone saying something to you like, oh, I hope that, you say thank you pretty often with him doing all this stuff, like, as annoying of a comment as that is, if you just jumped right into, like, I'm not going to thank him, it's his job, like, I really wouldn't be on your side then. But she got pushed, man. She got pushed to the point where she had to clearly spell it out for this woman. Like, really? You're making me explain to you why I'm not thanking my husband for not divorcing me. Okay, let me explain to you why no one should have to thank their spouse for not abandoning them. Like, and I get that some people feel the need to, especially if they had like a really low, people who might struggle with mental illness, who act out in a way where they're like, thank you so much for staying with me during that, but that's like, gratitude should always be your choice. Gratitude is nothing if it doesn't come from the heart. Same with apologies. Like, what's like an empty thank you? What even is that? Why would anybody even want that? Same with like an empty apology. Why do you guys want to just hear words? It's at that point, it's just the narcissistic need to like hear it socially, to have like that social point, because most of us who don't derive like winning points from narcissistic victories, most of us don't care for praise or apologies unless it's sincere. So being forced to do something, being like bullied into thanking someone, probably not going to get the most sincere gratitude of your life, quite frankly. Good day to all you dadvocatics. That's an interesting one. I think we went by dadvocados is one. My favorite was when a huge blue checkmarked creator who hates me and made an entire podcast about hating me referred to my audience as my little daddies. I think we definitely made that one stick for a while. I was referring to you guys as my little daddies for some time. We really reclaimed that one, little daddies, didn't we? Samantha says, not the one who set the story, but boy do I understand a crazy mother-in-law. Even a mother-in-law who tries to weaponize siblings against my poor hubby. Oh no, not the bonus triangulation on top of the attempted kidnappings. Do you need me to send you one of these, Samantha? I can send one for the holidays. I should sell Super No bottles in my merch store. You are my little daddy. I'm not a dad, but all right. You don't have to be a dad to be a little daddy here. Okay, I prefer petite parent, but I'll let it slide. Oh my god, Dylan. This is why we keep you around. Okay. Let's timestamp it while I pick out our next one. Do you guys want girlfriend made jiu-jitsu weird and incestuous, or am I the asshole for going to my ex's wedding? Told you I got some good ones for y'all today. Got some good ones. I think this one might be our last one for the stream. I'm trying to keep them a little bit shorter. Plus, you guys know I have to reduce my time this month because I have an entire Christmas comic to write. What I might do for my patrons, actually, is I might show you guys the Christmas comics I've done for my family so far. This is the most chaotic comment section right now. Jiu-jitsu, wedding, incest. Oh man, let my son not come in at this moment. Not sex jutsu, little daddy swarm. Okay, you guys want the jiu-jitsu incest story, and I'm gonna deliver. I love this. I was about to just like let it slip out, my two worlds combined, meaning getting to talk to you guys about relationship stuff and jiu-jitsu, but I realized that what that was going to end up sounding like was my two favorite worlds, jiu-jitsu and incest, and like I caught myself before I fully played myself, but I let you guys know how it went in my head so that you can still laugh at me. Anyway, this was posted to r/relationship advice, and it reads, I, a 20-year-old male, or my 20-year-old male girlfriend, a 21-year-old female, made a sexual comment that I found strange. We've always been very open with each other sexually, and I don't ever kink shame, but this made me uncomfortable, and I just want to know how big of a deal, if at all, other people think it is. I promise I'll get into this, but real quick, I am also pretty anti-kink shaming, but I'm also anti whenever people try to say you're kink shaming, whenever what they're doing is like a legitimate like boundary breaking or deplorable toxic thing. Like you're just kink shaming. Like, no, this is literally against the barriers of our relationship, which I don't know if that's what's about to happen here, but like I just feel like this man is already doing some preliminary gaslighting to himself where he's like, well, I don't want to kink shame, but like my girlfriend said something weird, and it's like it might be okay to kink shame here, actually, depending on the context. Me and my brother, an 18-year-old male, are both very fit and practice jiu-jitsu along with other sports, and we have a mat in our basement where we roll. If you're familiar with Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, you know how physically close you are to the other person, and that it's definitely a hurdle that a lot of new people have to get through, as personal space is basically out the window. True. Like, you literally are sweating into each other's mouths. That's the sport. She was watching us roll. I wasn't wearing a shirt, and I noticed a strange look on her face, but I didn't really read into it as she had just smoked. Later that night, she asked if she could tell me something weird. I said yes, thinking we'd have some sexy talk. She told me that she found it very homoerotic and got really turned on by seeing us wrestling. To give her some credit, she prefaced this by saying she had absolutely no feeling or attraction toward my brother like that, and it was mainly just seeing me wrestling with another guy that turned her on, but the incestuous implications weirded me the fuck out, and I told her that promptly. She apologized profusely and said she shouldn't have told me. I don't know if that's always, like, the best responses when they're like, I shouldn't have told you. Like, that's not really the problem here. Like, you telling me isn't the problem. You know? Knowledge is power, I guess. I definitely don't want her to feel uncomfortable sharing with me in the future, but I think it's important to note that I was SA'd by my now dead brother as a small child. I've never told her or anyone this. And the idea that incest is a major trigger for me is I'm trying to get an objective view on whether or not she was out of line or if I'm just traumatized. I think that even if you were never, ever touched ever inappropriately, that you would probably end up feeling weird about this, quite frankly. But the fact that that was an additional thing, an additional raw nerve that she had no idea she was not only tapping, but doing an entire Broadway number on, makes it a little worse. Dylan says, I think I'm traumatized too now. This story hits a lot of weird notes for me. First of all, it's kind of an unspoken rule in the grappling world, which I don't know if you guys know, I've been involved in since 2020. I've been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've earned my blue belts. Still working on some things there. But it's an unspoken rule in grappling that you do not make it sexual. No one said you can't make jiu-jitsu weird. I think we all have that one rolling partner where, like, there's really no holds barred as far as, like, goofy things that you can whisper in each other's ears, or even, like, throwing in a tickle because you have that kind of rapport. Like, we get silly in the jiu-jitsu world now and again, but it's really off limits to make it sexual. And this usually is stressed more with, like, you know, men and women rolling together. Like, just don't make it weird and you'll be fine. So we already have that level of, like, please don't make grappling sexual. We're literally just here to recreationally strangle each other. It's something that, like, honestly, a lot of women in the sport I've found struggle with because of the nature of grappling. A lot of guys don't even want their girl rolling with other men. I'm curious, how would you guys feel about it? How would you guys feel if your girl wanted to grapple with men? Would you allow it, or would you be one of those guys who's like, I strongly prefer you just roll with other women? I'm curious, because it's something a lot of women that I've trained with have dealt with. I've trained with several women who are literally only allowed to roll with women, which can be really crummy on some of the nights that, like, only one or two of us show up, or God forbid no women show up to one of the classes, which hasn't happened in forever. We're a huge school now, at least ours personally, but jiu-jitsu's not very big with women, you know? So I'm curious to hear from you on that one. But that's one of the main reasons that we don't like to make it sexual, is so that it can be a comfortable environment for everybody. But we shouldn't even have to explain that one. But I guess this leads to our next one. Are we allowed to kink shame incest? Or is that frowned upon in the kink world? Please educate me, chat, because you guys are a lot of you are way more engrossed in the kink sphere than me. Just call me vanilla with sprinkles over here. Oh, that's actually appropriate based on what I'm wearing. But it depends on the incest. I mean, twincest, basically, is what we're dealing with. We've got brothers. We've got the Lannister twins here. Okay? It depends on the incest is the most kink sphere answer I could have gotten from you, though. Thank you, Punslinger. Thank you for letting me know how deeply entrenched you really are. Nuclear family incest is kind of shameable, but I guess when stepbro makes it okay. You know what's so... I really... I don't like to admit it, but fine. I'll give you guys your weird, you're not technically real. I'll let you guys have that. It's not for me, and I'm not going to say I like it, but if you guys want to go keeping it in the family but not biologically, fine. But it seems like most of my chat is no bottling it. I think it only appeals to people who don't have those types of relationships. I mean, I hope to God. I pray to everyone. Kink shaming is fine, says Devious Furball. It is functionally identical to discussing your likes and dislikes in food, and apart from the illegal is just as pointless. I think we're all good on the incest. I think it's okay. I think myself and OP have gaslit ourselves into thinking we can't kink shame incest, but we can. Like, if you have discovered that maybe you like watching man-on-man action as a woman, you're not the first. You won't be the last. But maybe find a way to soft launch that without bringing up his brother, because again, let's take his former traumatic past completely out of this. You're gonna make his relationship with his brother weird, man. It's like, and it doesn't even have to be siblings. If anyone ever like comes up to you and takes one of your most platonic and non-sexual relationships in your life and then makes you think about porking that person, it's gonna make everyone feel weird, dog. Be it a family member, one of your best friends since childhood. If you've literally never once in your life thought about porking this person and now someone is forcing you to think about that, it's gonna ruin all of our relationships. I'm gonna be thinking differently about all of you now. Like, now I have to stay away from my brother for a little bit. Great. Now you made it weird for me to be around my brother for a little bit, dude. Well, look, okay, SVR says, imagine two half-naked sisters wrestling each other. I think very few men would look the other way. It survives the gender swap? Can any men explain why that is? Why you guys are okay with sister incest? My stepfather made an incestuous comment at family gathering to his niece, and everyone was appalled. Not many family members visited us again after that. No offense, Shadowclaw, but good. I'm sure your stepfather literally never put those pieces together and probably just thinks those family members are assholes. Probably has never once taken accountability, dude. Oh, man. I want to read some of these comments. Someone says, she was being open and honest with you on something that isn't usually shared, and you shut her down. I understand your perspective, but she doesn't. You don't think that a grown woman is able to understand why a man might get weirded out about you saying you think about him and his brother fucking each other, like, you don't think that she can come to that conclusion on her own? You think she needs that spelled out for her? Like, come on, dog. Like, she caught herself being super inappropriate, and instead of being like, I'm sorry, I have my own little kink, but I should not have brought it up with, like, your brother. I understand that was making it weird. Like, you can, because it's not, you're, like, soft launching 2 kinks in one. You're not just saying, like, I have homoerotic fantasies about you. A man who I'm assuming, like, he hasn't said anything about him expressing any interest in being bi, so she already knows that's outside of his comfort zone. But then to top it off with, like, incest as well, like, you're like, left and right hooking him with, like, 2 really intense, sudden kinks that are, like, not fully, I'm not, like, okay, I'm not saying being gay isn't normal. It's definitely very normal at this point. But not when you're not gay. Is that fair? If you're not a gay person, then being gay is not normal for you. And then incest, I would say, should not be normal for anybody. It shouldn't be. The only reason it's usually a kink for someone is usually based on incestuous trauma. It's usually a cycle of abuse, quite frankly. Maybe she's from Alabama, but that's what I'm saying. They might both have a lot of trauma that they're about to open up to about with each other here. Okay? It seems like a lot of these comments are people who are like, you're not being very understanding. And I'm like, I think this is where the empathy gap is playing a role here. Because if a woman was like, my boyfriend just tried to soft launch the idea of him fantasizing about me with my sister, this thread would be full of dump hims. There would be no collect $200 or passing go. There would be none of that. It would be straight to dump him, dude. But this is where we see the empathy gap toward men, is like, even when a man is like, I have all of this trauma, and my girlfriend just suggested, like, just literally ruined both my relationship with my brother and my relationship with jiu-jitsu all in one 1-2 punch. And everyone's like, you're not being very understanding. Like, literally all of these is a person who talks about everything with her SO. I think you need to clarify your position more. Oh, come on, this doesn't have to do with your sibling. Oh my god. You need to tell her about your trauma. It's not on her. Even saying, like, if it was her and her sister wrestling, you would find it hot. Actually, this is interesting. OP says, I considered this, and you're right, I wouldn't be upset about that. Interesting. I don't know. Yeah, there's an empathy gap here, but then there's also a gender gap. It clearly is a lot weirder for people to fantasize about 2 brothers than to fantasize about 2 sisters within the social zeitgeist. Apparently suggesting these 2 sisters are gonna wrestle is just normal hot girl Tuesday, but saying these 2 gay brothers are gonna wrestle is like, what in the Menendez brothers is going on here? But only if they're twins, apparently. I feel so bad for twins. Twins gotta be out here getting so sexualized for no reason. It's fine to find it hot. It's different to say it out loud. How do you even... Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna introduce this kink that you discovered by watching your significant other wrestle with their brother, you gotta pick one. Do you want to soft launch the homoerotic kink, or do you want to soft launch this incest one? Pick one. You gotta pick gay or incest. One first, give it about 6 months, then introduce the other one. I'm kidding, that's terrible advice. You really got to get this stuff out of the way one way or another, though, quite frankly. Incense kink. I think TJ has one of those. He loves light and incense. Not being understanding, making fun of her. Wait. Is he making fun of her? I'm making fun of her a little bit, and I'm not being understanding, I have to say. I'm not being understanding at all. I would hate this entire situation if I was him. I would not want to be in this situation. Even when I gender reverse it, if I imagine a man ever saying something like this to me, like when I was watching you train jiu-jitsu with your sister, I thought it was so hot. I would just be like, this is like the most ugly, unattractive thing I've ever been told by a man. Like, it would be such an instant turn off for me too. So I guess what is our learning lesson from this? No. Don't. No. Just take it to your grave, honestly. If you have homoerotic, incestuous thoughts about your significant other and their sibling, take it to your grave, dude. You gotta die with that knowledge. No one wants to hear about it. No one wants that. That's between you and God. You don't think you agree, user 50? You think that they should tell them? They should be open about it? Because, like, what good can come from it? Really? Like, maybe he's like, you know what? Now that you bring it up, I do want to f dudes with you. Maybe. I guess you'll never know until you try. But I really don't think that, like, okay, now I want to bone my brother is really... Someone says, if my hot girlfriend said me and my bro were hot together, I wouldn't want to bone him, but I'd like to be sexualized by my hot girlfriend. I think this also just shows how down bad men are. Like, this is another gap in full exposure, is like men are so desperate for this kind of sexual attention from women that at this point we're like, however you gotta do it, objectify me, Captain. Whatever you need to do for you to at least be thinking about me sexually. Whatever needs to happen, mommy. Oh, man. Okay, that's a good place to timestamp, I think. A good place. And then this will be just kind of the wrap-up section. Because I'm getting too hungry. And I got too much stuff to do to have too long of a stream this week. I'm so sorry. Samantha says, when I said she was maybe from Alabama, I was making a joke where she is the butt of the joke. Incest does not deserve empathy. Okay. So we're back together. We're back on the, like, no, it's okay to make fun of incest wagon. You're right. I cannot let this stream end without Mochi. That is true. Okay. What kind of kinks can you have on the fence? A King of the Hill kink? That was a bad pun. I was just trying to think because they're usually outside of the fence, but that one was not a good one. Not a good one. Okay. I'll be right back with some Mochi for the end show. And yes, I am going to get the Velvet Spider as soon as all the single dads are taken care of. So it goes them first. And, you know, I told Santa I wanted a Velvet Spider. So maybe that'll just be one of my gifts from one of my family members. Who knows? I'll have a spider for Christmas. That would be so me. But user 50 says, I wouldn't kink shame my girlfriend for having homoerotic thoughts about me. That's fair. That's fair. I think that's where we can kind of like meet in the middle. It wasn't necessarily the homoeroticism that bothered me about this from the jump. It was definitely the incest. Definitely the incest. All right, let me go get a cat. I'll be right back. Mochi is coming to join the stream. the Mochi tax. Do you hear his purrs? He is a loud purring baby. Oop. Who's the baby? Do you want the extra Mochi cuddles? He is like the most babyest baby I've ever had. Like, and I tend to get like some prime baby Chonkertons, but like this one, he will literally just let you do whatever. Like, look at this. Who does this? Who does this, Miles? And he's still just purring away. Do you love your boy, Miles? Okay, Mochi's getting sick of this. Are you just my little baby guy? Oh. Well, stuck there for a second. He's like a big chonky raccoon lemur. Mochi ASMR. The purring is deafening. Dude, this cat. And hair is just flying everywhere. Do you want some attention to buddy? What a guy. When your dog is as tall as you. Oh, Miles. Who's my buster? Good boy. I just have the coolest zoo, I must say. Ooh, you big chunky boy. Ooh, you good boy. We got that leg going. Oh my goodness. You wanna lay down? Lay down? Oh, bundle up and go take him in the wintry snow. We call it pet tax, but actually Miles is just getting his Lauren tax. That's adorable. I will wear that comment like a handprint on my heart. Oh man. All right. Well, before I depart and before we see each other again on Thursday morning, 11 a.m., same time, anybody else have anything pressing? Any pressing thoughts, questions, concerns, things you need updates on the next time we meet? Make your concerns be heard now, or else we're just gonna wrap up without them, okay? LOL Snow. I know. We know how to December here in Michigan, that's for sure. Shuan had a reacts. We did do one of those, I will say. And Shu will not like copyright claim me for reacting to her videos, so that's nice. Shuan had just came out with a video actually, which is why Democrats lost the election. I was hollering during that. Let me show you guys this one so you can watch it. Watch this. This is, she nails it. Like truly, there were so many things she said during this video, which I've been watching Shu for, whoops, accidentally started the react now. I've been watching Shu for years. I love her so much. And like, I feel like we politically align in so many ways. That's a good one. If we don't end up watching it together sometime, and I don't know if we will, I have so many other things to react to with you guys, but that would be a fun one. Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. My family has a cabin in Port Austin, and they go up there all the time. I haven't been up there in years, but I have been up there. You haven't seen snow in 7 years? I haven't seen snow in 7 minutes. The lady from the first story did threaten to take the kids and everything from him if he didn't take the public humiliation. Wait, has that been, like, confirmed? I tried to scour for any updates, and I couldn't find anything. Let's see if there's any new updates on that. Let's see. I don't see any updates here. She was great. I agree with her on some things, but disagree with her on others. She didn't really grasp what the MRA is about, even after spending time with the honey badgers. I'm part of the community, by the way. They're a little frustrated with her. She spent time with the honey badgers? That's interesting. Now I'm wondering if I know what MRA is about, because now I've never, like, I'm not one of those self-proclaimed men's rights activists necessarily. Like, that wasn't, like, my intention, but I definitely do consider myself, I've always considered myself a father's rights activist. But then as time went on, I even started to not really like that term as much, because at the end of the day, all of the legislation that I advocate for family courts, it's not like it puts fathers at an advantage. It's not as though any of the things that I'm advocating for are to, like, put just fathers ahead of women. Everything that I'm advocating for would eventually be able to be taken advantage of by women as well in similar situations, such as no jail time for delinquent child support. And as more women are starting to pay child support, that would benefit them too. But with fathers' rights, it's like there are literally rights fathers don't have. Like, just straight up. We think men have all of their rights. Okay, then why out of 45 out of 50 states are unmarried fathers left without their rights? Why do you have to be married in 45 out of 50 states to even be considered for 50-50 timeshare custody? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it's also my understanding, Shadowclaw, that okay, I could be wrong. Don't the honey badgers have a terrible reputation? Aren't you guys known as, like... Oh, wait, no. Never mind. Oh, okay, yeah. Any MRA has a terrible reputation, I guess. But honey badgers are referred to as women who consider themselves MRAs. Interesting. That's so funny, because I guess I could probably be classified as a honey badger. I know Chloe Roma is definitely a badger. For sure, for sure. And what's funny is that, like, all of us women who are in the kind of, like, men's issues space, we definitely all know each other, and we all communicate, and we all talk. Every single one of us, dude. We do get together. So that is interesting. Maybe I'm a honey badger, and I guess I didn't realize it. I guess I'm not that mad about it. I like honey badgers as an animal as well, you know. I guess the main reason that I, like, don't consider myself an MRA is because I'm mostly just fighting for, like, fathers' rights. I literally don't know what, in general, like, rights men don't have. I definitely agree that men don't have the same access to certain things, but when it comes to, like, shelters, like, I don't know legally enough to know if you would be considered having, like, a right to that stuff. Does that make sense? That's just the only reason I'm like, I think that as far as rights go, it's mostly fathers who need the help. But I could be wrong. A lot of men's rights supporters are unhappy with Roma. She made a video recently claiming she was the first one to do this. Yeah, I will say, she does say that a lot. And I can't speak for her, but... And I don't know what was going on at the time that she started, because she has been on these platforms for, like, way longer than I have. I'm still, like, getting to know some of the OG names in this space. Like, I didn't even know that there were necessarily full spaces like this. I knew about fathers' rights communities because I joined them on, like, Facebook and stuff. But I didn't know anything about like TikTok or Reels or anything like that. I just kind of joined in hopes of screaming into the abyss and was shocked out of my mind that my channel actually took off. And that's when other people started tagging me in like Emily King's videos and like Sarah Dawn Moore's videos. Elise Michaels, I want to say is her name. But like I started being introduced to the other honey badgers, I guess, like other people doing kind of what I'm doing. But what's beautiful about it is that like it's not like we're all quote unquote selling the same product. You know, some people like to say, oh, it's just a grift, it's just a grift. But at the end of the day, we all have different opinions. Like we all have different viewpoints on this. So it's not like, I guess not all of us. There are definitely grifters. I've learned how to kind of identify them. Usually if there's a chili pepper in the bio, I can kind of see where their end goal is at. You know what I mean? But like, I do find it very interesting when people are like, oh, it's just like something women do to try and make money, you know, because when I first started talking about father's issues, I was literally just doing it to vent because no one in the world wanted to hear me talk about it. I certainly did not look at it as like a lucrative business. But that being said, I think I've also figured out, you know, how to identify the authentic honey badgers, the ones who like they have their own unique take on it because of their own unique experiences. Like in Emily King's case, she divorced because she was cheated on, very unfortunate, and yet still advocates for men, and yet still was like, dude, even though he didn't exactly do right by me, like the world is not doing right by him right now. You know, she kind of got to see through that means how men are mistreated by so many different systems. Sarah Dawn Moore, you know, she just had a brother get sent to jail. And so she has kind of firsthand experience not only growing up with brothers and understanding men from that perspective, but also kind of seeing how easily they can be criminalized, especially when, you know, they experience certain issues that kind of only men can experience, you know? You mean, oh, if women don't really have men's well-being at heart? I bet some do. I'm sure that it's not impossible for there to be a crossover between women who make their money selling their coochie and women who like genuinely don't want men to suffer. I'm positive there's a crossover, but you have to know how bad it looks. Especially the one girl that I covered who literally had her link listed as a men's mental health resource, and it was her link. I'm like, come on. That's not right. Okay. I've been yapping. I've been yapping way too much. All right, y'all. We have had a very fun show. I hope that my timestamps have helped a little bit. I'm going to go buy some kids some Christmas presents now. I will see you guys on Thursday, and I'll have some more videos out throughout the week. If you are a YouTube member or a Patreon member, you're actually going to have access to a Chloe Roma and the Dadvocate react to MRAs versus Feminists panel. So enjoy that. And if you're not, consider becoming one. It helps a lot.